ever submitted an app to an app store, then you know that feeling, that specific anxiety of waiting for review status. I swear, it's the best and the worst feeling in the world because you're so close to releasing the app, yet it's the final step and you don't know what might go wrong. I've been through this many cycles and it never gets less stressful because you spend weeks by coding your app or even months staying at night battling the AI to fix that one tiny bug that won't go away. And when finally you get it all working, you press that blue submit for review button and it's time to wait. And you go to sleep feeling like genius. You're dreaming about your launch day, you have all the plans ready, then you wake up, grab your phone and see notification rejected. Let me tell you, it took me 2 months to build my real app, and honestly I thought I nailed it. I was so proud of this thing, but the Apple review team, they didn't care about my code because it's never about the code. They found 4 specific things I completely missed, and the frustrating part was these things had nothing to do with whether my app worked or not. It was all about their house rules. And look, I'm not alone here. I actually went down the rabbit hole because I wanted my next submission to be perfect, no issues. So I looked up all the stats regarding Apple review. And did you know that over 40% apps get rejected on their first submission? So basically, if you flip the coin, heads, you are in, tails, you are rejected. But the thing is, they aren't getting rejected because the code is trash. They getting rejected because developers like me and probably like you treat the Apple Store like a casual hobby. Basically, it's the last step. You done all the work, now you just want your app to go public. Like it's just a website that we can make it live and accessible for everyone. But it's not like that. You have to shift your mindset. Think of Apple Store like an NBA or Premier League. You might be the best player in your neighborhood. You might be crushing at the local park. But if you want to play in the big leagues, there are regulations. You can't just show up to NBA game in a flip-flop, right? And in this case, Apple review team, they are the referees. They are literally checking your uniform, they checking the rule book, and if you step 1 inch out of the bounds, you're disqualified. So let me share with you, I made 3 absolutely stupid mistakes that got me benched immediately. But while I was asking Cursor to fix them, I found what I call silent killers. There are secret reasons why everyone else is getting rejected on Apple Store right now. So let me save you a heartbreak. I'm going to walk you through the entire Apple gauntlet and give you the checklist I wish I had 2 months ago. And let's start with the mistake that cost me 48 hours of my life. Mistake number 1 was I tried to make my app look too good. So you know when you upload your app, you need to provide Apple screenshots. I went into Canva, I went on Nano Banana, and I went crazy. I made these beautiful artistic mock-ups. They had a cool abstract backgrounds, massive text overlays, slanted 3D phones, and so on. So it looked like a movie poster. And guess what? Apple looked at it and said misleading. Basically, I didn't follow their guideline 2.3. And needless to say, I got frustrated because I saw other apps having those wonderful, fantastic screenshots, and I was like, what is that different from what I have? But you have to think of it like buying a video game. You know, when you look at the back of the box and in tiny letters it says not actual gameplay footage. I mean, that annoys everyone. Apple hates that. So they demand that your screenshots show the actual app in use. No giant text blocking the UI, no fake backgrounds. So what I had to do, I had to delete all the art. I took raw screenshots of the app actually running, added very simple captions explaining what this screen does, and re-uploaded them. And guess what? It went through. And if I can give you one secret thing that you need to keep in mind on your first submission, don't try to be fancy. Just submit the app, because when you submit the app and it's your first submission, Apple team reviews the app more in depth and they care about guidelines way more than if you do your 10th submission on the same app. So the lesson here, don't try to sell the vibes, just show the product. Let's go to mistake number 2. So that was ignoring the boring stuff. I was bytecoding, right? So I was rushing to finish the cool AI features. I wanted to add image generation in my app and so on. And obviously before building the app, I looked up what exactly I need to have on my app to pass the Apple review. And one of them was to have a contact us button in the settings or anywhere in the app so the user could reach out to you. But obviously I created the app and I got distracted, started working on actually fun things, and I forgot about that. So I forgot to connect the backend with contact us button. So basically you clicked on it and literally nothing happened. And another thing, I forgot to add the end user license agreement, which is pretty important when you submit your app to Apple, because I figured who reads that? I don't read that. I don't think anyone else reads the license agreement, so why I would put it up there? Well, Apple reads it, and that's Apple's rule that you must have it. So if you want to play in the big league, your apps needs 3 working boring things. First one is the end user license agreement. Second one is support URL, and this can just be your email or Twitter link. And the third thing is the privacy policy link. So if the Apple team clicks a button in your app and it leads to a dead end, that is an automatically rejected. It just implies that the app isn't finished. I used a simple terms and conditions generated online. I just copy paste and fix the button. It took me like 10 minutes to fix, but it took me 2 days of waiting in review for my app to get rejected because of that silly reason. Mistake number 3, and let me tell you this in a funny way, I was acting like a creepy stranger. So my app uses the camera. So naturally, I added the code to request permission. When the pop-up appeared on the screen, it just said allow app to use camera. And guess what? Apple rejected this immediately. And when I thought about it, it made sense, because imagine a stranger walking up to you on the street and just asking open your bag. Obviously you're gonna say no and probably run away. But if you said, hey, open your bag so I can put this $1 million inside, you would say yes, right? Who wouldn't? So you have to edit the privacy description in your code. You can't just be vague about it. You have to change it to something that justifies why you're requesting the access. For example, we need the camera access so you can scan the QR code to add friends or whatever. So you need to tell the user why exactly you need that so you wouldn't look suspicious and probably get declined on your submission. So those were my surface level mistakes, rookie mistakes you can call them, and they were annoying obviously, but they were fixable and easily. But then I started reading the actual Apple guidelines, like deep reading them. I'm lying, actually I asked Gemini, but the point still stands. So I found the silent killers. These are the reasons developers spend months building an app, only to find out the entire concept is fundamentally flawed in Apple's eyes. So silent killer number 1, the website in a costume. This is the most common reason for rejection in the vibe coding community right now. Apple has a rule called minimum functionality. Basically, if your app is just an existing website wrapped in a mobile view, Apple gonna say this should just be a website. Just imagine buying a ticket to a movie theater, walking in and realizing they are just playing Netflix on a TV. I mean, you would be mad, right? I would, because you paid for the theater experience and you got Netflix. I mean, Apple feels the same. Your app needs to do things a website cannot do. If you are vibe coding, ask your AI to implement push notifications, haptic feedback, you know those vibrations when you click, or just offline mode. These are the native capabilities. If you add these, you prove you aren't just a website in a costume. Silent killer number 2 is the Wild West problem. This happens constantly with AI apps or social apps. If your app allows users to create content, whether that's writing a bio, posting a picture, or generating text with AI, you fall under users generated content rules. And let me tell you, Apple is absolutely terrified of unmoderated content. If a user can post something offensive, or if your AI generates something crazy and you don't have a way to stop it, you're out. You're gonna be declined right away. So to fix this, you need a block mechanism and report mechanism. Even if your app is tiny, even if you only had 3 users and one of them is you, the buttons must be there. If the Apple team sees a social app without a whistle, they're gonna stop the game. Then let's talk about the silent killer number 3. This one is subtle but deadly. If your app lets users sign in with Google or sign in with Facebook, you're legally required to also offer sign in with Apple. Basically, it's like a restaurant. If you offer Coke and Pepsi, you must also offer the house water. And this used to be a total nightmare to code. I cannot relate because I wasn't coding when we didn't have AI, but from what I read online, it was actually a nightmare to code. But if you're using tools like Supabase or Firebase now, it's usually just a tumble. Just double check that sign in with Apple button is visible before you submit and you're good to go. Okay, one last thing. This isn't a rule, but it's a massive trap that I see people fall into constantly. I call it the lockout. Remember, the person reviewing your app is a human employee at Apple. They did not have an account on your app. If your app requires a login and if you don't give them username and password, they will just reject you because they definitely not gonna waste their time and trying to set up their email, confirm their email, and go through all that trouble and spend so much time just to see if your login or sign up works. So in App Store Connect, there's a tiny box called sign in information. Create a dummy account in your database, make the username like Apple Review and the password like Apple123 or whatever, and put those credentials in that box. If you forget this, you will wait 48 hours just to get rejected because the Apple team didn't want to waste their time by trying to sign up on your app. So when I looked at all the list, screenshots, permissions, minimum functionality, moderation, I realized something. We usually think of Apple like an enemy here. We think they are trying to stop us from succeeding, but actually they are protecting the quality of the league, of the users. If you think about Apple from the 30% they take fees, they might be an enemy, okay, I agree, but this video is not about that. People spend more money on iPhones than Android is because they trust that apps work, that Apple is flawless. They just trust the experience. And as a vibe coder, your job isn't just to generate the code, it's to generate the trust, build amazing app that users want to use. And passing this checklist isn't just about satisfying the Apple, it's about proving your app is good enough to deserve a spot on a user's home screen. And one more thing to say, so my app is finally live, and honestly, looking back, the hardest part wasn't the code. Actually, I found the coding super fun to do, but the most frustrating part was that you have to do it alone. So building this project solo can be incredibly lonely. It's not fun when you face a specific rejection and you can't just solve it and you have nobody to ask. So I got an idea to start a group chat. It's a place to discuss vibe coding, share your wins, and get help when you're stuck in the trenches. It is completely free. I'm not gonna charge anything for it. I just want it to be full of like-minded people who are on the same journey, who like vibe coding, who loves launching softwares and make money out of it. So I'm gonna put the link down in the description. If you feel you're up to this, come join, say hi, and tell us what you are building. And now that my app is live, I have an even bigger problem that nobody knows it exists. So next week, I'm gonna try marketing strategies. I have an entire plan layout. I'm gonna try things. I don't know what's gonna work, what's not, but honestly, that's the fun part, you know, figuring out everything, building from scratch. And once I'm done testing everything, I'm gonna record the video and share what worked for me, what didn't work, what I tried, and so on. Just share my lesson throughout the journey. So if you feel like you would like to see, feel free to subscribe, and see you in the next video.